Okay, hi everybody. My name is Mandisa, and I go by Mandisa intuitively because, as it states, that is how I operate, and that is how I came to this post. So, first and foremost, this is going to be a long one. This is not for sensitive viewers. This is for people who want to just go a little bit deeper than what they normally would, in terms of just being able to hear this content. I've been wanting to share this for a few years now, and to almost not necessarily normalize it, but to almost destigmatize. So I got my tissues. I had to just meet my mind where my body is, and then meet my body where my mind is. And I just had to do a little bit of a yoga practice. I danced, I put some music, I got into my body, I prayed. And then, as you can see, I'm wearing red. So suggestion to probably just make sure that before you listen to this, it's just about grounding yourself. So I'm wearing red socks, I've got a red blanket, I've got like a heating pad, and then, as you can see, the red. So I'd like to begin by sharing that it's been hard for me to almost like expose, and one would ask, like, why the hell would you want to expose this? And then I ask, why the hell not? This is such an important thing to share. And some people are going to be like, oh my God, I never knew. Of course you didn't know. I don't expose this, but now you can, now you can know. It's all okay. And I think part of the reason why I'm also mainly doing this, and I, encouraged from a friend who would remind me every now and again, tell the truth. Just tell the truth. Keep telling the truth. And I am going through a very deep initiation in this space that I'm in. And part of this is sharing something that I know I'm not the only one who has gone through this. So let me start off by sharing a story from my friend and my cousin. So I've known two people personally, and then I've just heard around people who have. First, it was my cousin who, when I think he was 18 or 19, had committed. And I couldn't quite understand the weight of that, but I definitely felt it when I heard my aunt, who's his mom, like scream. I remember that scream. Oh goodness, I need tissues already. I need to compose. I thought I wouldn't do this. This for me is like, to be this vulnerable is almost like my biggest strength, of which for some people they would take it as a weakness. And at this point, it's like, I'm not really concerned about what other people say. It's more about the need to just share. It's so important. Okay. And then taking it back to a friend that I had met through a friend. And we weren't like that close, but we were close enough for me to just share deep things with her. So she had also gone through what one would call a calling. And what I would say a calling is just for everybody. It's everybody going home, just going back to ourselves again. But going back home to ourselves comes with push and pull. Hmm. This one's hard to share, as you can tell. My friend had, you know, had trouble in her calling back home. And she was almost like going more the traditional route, for lack of a better expression with this. And her story, where she would be sharing so much wisdom with me, and our talks were just fully expressive of just the questions to life, the depth. Okay. Mm. I remember the last conversation where she had almost like circled back to the point where I could feel she was deeply lost. And I remember her saying, "Oh, I must come visit you. I must come visit you in Cape Town. I need to come visit you in Cape Town. I wish I could come visit you in Cape Town." And I was just like, let's make a plan. Let's make that happen. Yet, and at the same time, I was just also going through my own, for lack of a better word, what one would say, drama. And in that last conversation we had, I could almost like feel she was no longer here. Like she was gone, but there was like, I couldn't do anything. Anyway, she was the type of person who would lose her phone, get a new number. I remember trying to message her about a month or two after that, and there was only one tick. And then I was like, okay, let me just go into Instagram, did that, and there was no response. And I was like, that's very strange. But then I was like, no, there's no way. No, there's no way. Anyways, there was a way, because when my friend told me, our mutual friend, then I just knew. And I mean, it's still very sad, because a part of me also feels, oh man, I wish I wish she didn't. I wish I could have been there. But that's just any human response. And she death, which is inevitable for everybody, is something that when we see people leave before we do, it's a contribution. And the contribution that she made and the deep impact that she made in my life was also to share this story and to also really drive why I do what I do forward. And this is apart from the yoga and the massage that I do. And, there's just deep gratitude for her path in my life. I'm so grateful to her till this day. And it encourages me to share this story, that it was something that I was never, ever willing to expose. Me too. I have not only attempted it before, I have thought about it. And it moves from that verse, be not of the world, but be part of it. And that's what I was talking about earlier, that like tug and war, that some people, that the drive to leave is just higher than the drive to stay. And I think with all that has happened in my life, I've just had a bigger drive to stay. And it just gives me the courage to do this, because now I know I talk from a space of what it feels like to have really deep inner conflict. And the three basic needs that every human needs is to feel safe, to feel seen, and to be acknowledged. And hence why we talk about our legacies. What are the legacies we are going to leave behind? And for me, it's about love, bringing in Christ consciousness, that deep, deep level of love. So, mine can remember when I tried to, when I was 11, I didn't feel seen, I didn't feel heard, I didn't feel acknowledged. I felt deeply misunderstood at 11. And I remember I was just like, always in my mind, and this has got nothing to do with my family and friends and support system that I had around me. This was everything to do with my inner conflict as just me and my spirit, my soul. My parents had gone to work, and I remember I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do it, because there was like this deep anger within myself. I mean, I'm thinking at 11, how on earth? I didn't even have a phone. I only got my first phone at like 16, maybe a little bit earlier. I think maybe 14. Okay, that's besides the point. The point is, I was late on getting a phone. So the only way I could have heard this information, either through radio or I've seen it on TV or in a movie. That was the only way I could think that as an 11-year-old, that's how I wanted to sign out. But clearly nothing happened. So I waited, and I was like, okay, this is it. I'm signing out. No one loves me. I'm signing out. And nothing happened. And I was like, damn it. Well, clearly I need to stay, and I'm not going to try that again. Circle back to when I was in corporate as a civil engineer. What I then started doing was buying those like 1.5 liter bottles of wine, and make sure that every night it was like two glasses every night for a while. And I was deeply contemplating again. And I was just like, how is this possible that this is happening to me? And then it circled back again in 2020. I was just like, what is going on? And then I was connected to someone who was going in this space of really going into her calling and calling her and just saying it is so normal. Absolutely, this has happened to me and it has happened to a lot of people, this feeling of just being like, what is the point of this life thing? Contemplating, I was just like, this going back home to myself, this being part of the world, not of it, has been the deepest like push pull that is just like when you don't feel understood, and each stage it only goes deeper because each stage in life, each expression is just saying, are you willing to do what you said you were going to do before you came here on earth? And it's almost like I remember speaking to my mom saying, it's almost as if the moment I shared what I've been going through, it's like I had these extra wings that just like carried me. And that's what I'm feeling now as I speak about it more, because it's just like, yes, these are these extra wings that are carrying me. I am held. I am held because now that journey home was the journey back to my body, back to my spirit. And one of the things I do every day is when I come home, I ground myself. When I leave out from the world, I leave here grounded and I come back rerouting myself. So part of my ritual that I have is lighting a candle. I put the incense oil, I ground my hands, I take off the shoes, I take off everything, not my clothes, but everything that's like my bags or whatever I've been carrying. And I say to myself, welcome home, Mandisa. I align and I ground my spirit back into my body. Then I take a deep breath in and then I exhale. And I literally feel each time when I do that, my body, my spirit has just completely like, my soul is completely like hugged in my body. My spirit is completely inside. And then I feel like grounded as I'm feeling now again, which thank you. So grateful for that. And it encourages me more and more to do what I do, because I know what it feels like to not see the point and have no bigger reason to stay. And I know for me, that was the deepest inner conflict that I have ever almost like threaded through. And I remember speaking, I think I told my sister, I was just like, leaving the corporate space, I wanted to tap out completely. I was just like, this is not what life is for me. I don't know what this is, but this is not for me. And then I was like, how am I still feeling that? Even when they say, how that saying that says, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. When we say these things, it's important that you take what resonates for you, because this is what works for me, and take what resonates. Always, always, always take things with a pinch of salt and take things that resonate with you in your being. So what I do now is help simplify inner conflict by simplifying my inner conflict and my inner conflict of not wanting to be seen on such a deeply vulnerable thing to speak about, that I too had what I thought was weak within me actually being a very deep, powerful strength within me. And one of my purposes with my gifts is to help you release the inner conflict. And it's all intuitive. It's all Christ consciousness. It's all love. It's all high vibrations. I'm doing stuff like this, being able to be this deeply vulnerable has actually been like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. So the simplification of inner conflict is such a deep passion of mine that I do it through distance calling or in person, just talking. I do it through massage, and I do it through teaching yoga. Those of you who know my yoga practice know what it is I'm trying to do. And I know now that it's to help simplify inner conflict and to be part of that light that reminds you that yes, you are chosen to live in this particular time for a reason. And I couldn't help my friend the way I would have loved to, but she definitely helped me the way she needed to and still continues to do. So here's to vulnerability. Here's to helping you feel seen, helping you feel heard, helping you feel acknowledged by doing that for myself first. Because like I spoke about yesterday in my post about put your mask first, that's what I live for. That's what I will continue to do with each step, no matter how challenging it gets. I choose and promise to stay here and to stay for me. And by staying for me, I can share more light to you who might be in a dark place, because I understand on a very deep level what that feels like. So thank you for taking the time if you've listened to this 25-minute. And what I normally say in a class, and I want to leave you with this, it's usually a prayer. My life is in prayer and a reminder. And I want to remind you that at the end I go say, place your hands near your forehead. May you remember that you are not your thoughts. Hands to the lips. May you remember that your words create your world. And then hands to the heart. May you remember that everything you seek is within. Thank you deeply for taking the time to hear my story. And if you are experiencing any inner conflict, talk to me. That's part of my service. Come do a massage with me. That's also part of my service. Or come do yoga with me. Whatever it feels like that is your easiest access point. Let me remind you why it is that you need to stay and that you need to absolutely 100% be here to share your gifts in this lifetime. So I'm sending love. I am deeply hugging you. If you're feeling completely lost, I see you. I completely understand what it feels like. I hear you and I acknowledge your existence.